Hey, this is Chris Fraser. I'm reaching out to you on the very last day of Social Worker Appreciation Month 2021. And it's also the last day for that very important month of women's history. And I've been a social worker for 25 years. And I woke up yesterday morning realizing that, oh my goodness, this month has gone by so fast. And I need to say something about social work and social workers, but also about women. Social work was founded by women, and there's many social workers that us social workers don't know even about, and they've had a huge impact on our field. March is one of those months that anybody in the field of helping professions know is very, very difficult. There's more suicides in March than any other month. And that means those of us helping professionals are giving every bit of every moment of our day, or most of our days, to care for others. And so giving them some appreciation today is so greatly important to me. And that's why I'm making this video. And I create videos, but not that often. It's at my lunch break. I don't have much time to do this, but it was so important. I wanted to do this. Um, I heard a few years ago about a social worker, a woman, and it inspired me. And I looked into her and it resonated with my heart. And this social worker is named Dr. Jessie Taft. And Jessie started her career getting her PhD in 1913. Think about 1913, what was going on in the role of women. And she studied under, and I was a social work and sociology major, and George Herbert Mead at the University of Chicago, and his, pragmatist philosophy kind of stuff really touched my heart. And I found out she studied under him. When she got done, there was no jobs for Jessie in academia. So she went out to help the world and became a social worker. What really resonated with me about her was that she, at a time in a very male dominated field, very Freudian psychoanalytic field, broke away from the tradition and saw what really needed to happen, what really made change when it came to human beings. And that is the therapeutic relationship, the relationship between human and another human. She saw that as human beings, we are the same. Therapist, client are at the same level. And that was at a time nobody was saying this. She ran into a psychiatrist, Otto Rank, and get this, the therapy that they were doing, she called it here now therapy. So if your life's not now, when is it? The matriarch of the modern era was not even known by people. And she also understood that clients themselves choose what's important for them to work on. Before, the analyst would sit behind, oh, how does that make you? Okay, that's interesting. No, she sat with them and they know themselves, person, fit, and environment. She understood. And I was even more touched because I take kids for walks. I take them out of the office. Some children, they won't talk to you. They're scared, they're frightened. Rightfully so. I'm a stranger. Their parents tell them, you're broken. They don't necessarily, sometimes they do, but this guy's going to fix you. And we're sitting here and I'm in a chair. We go out for a walk. She took children out for walks. And there's many stories of children breaking through that could never be helped. Suicidal kids back then, institutionalized children. She started the farm school outside of New York City. And it lasted for a while before the Great War happened. And then it got dismantled, where she actually understood that children need more than just this up in your head, kind of make you sick kind of stuff. So Dr. Jessie Taft, and she had a longtime partner and dear friend, um, another amazing social worker, Virginia Robinson. And at the end of their lives, they lived together. And she had a PhD from Columbia, and they joined forces together. Nobody knows about these folks, very few people. Those, even some of those, I would have to say, some of my social work professors may know of, but I've never heard. I taught at Ohio State's social work program, their master's program, a few classes, and you don't hear about these folks. And there's many other folks. Everybody hears about Jane Addams, beautiful James Addams from Chicago, settlement Whole House. She's given the title of the mother of social work, but there's many people. But I want to tell you about Jessie Taft specifically, because now, What makes change in therapy? Well, there's a lot of arguments over it, but one thing that's we're seeing is that without a safe therapeutic relationship, what do you have? What do you have? You don't have much, regardless of your approach. So the other thing it made me contemplate was my dad, as a psychologist who taught in a PsyD program, a doctor program, from a very young age, he goes, I respect social workers. And so when I went into the field, he encouraged me. He said, I really respect social workers. So I went into social work. And then even more interesting, my younger sister is also a social worker. And so my sister and I, um, following my dad's advice, but also seeing this is the grassroots of social work. And then my Aunt Bonnie and my Aunt Heather, who my Aunt Heather just passed away, who gave her life to creating peace in the world and taking care of our environment. She told us stories about going down from Evanston, Illinois, Glencoe, Illinois, down to the west side of Chicago to Jane Addams, her whole house, the settlement house, helping immigrants, helping folks in need, not only immigrants. And that my aunt was an art teacher. And so understanding, Jane Addams understood you don't need just food, blankets, and these type of things, but you need a wraparound. So they brought arts, the theater, and music into these people's lives, not just this, take care of the basic needs, you get those met, but also these things that create connection and that are crucial for us to be human beings. And so social workers, there's many other folks, but I wanted to bring that into your attention. Um, and most recently in my career, thank God, I fell into acceptance commitment therapy, but then finding compassion focused therapy. The idea that we all have secret sorrows the world knows not, and we didn't choose many of our struggles, but what can we do to find compassion for ourselves and others? And I looked up Jane Addams, and what I saw was a quote very familiar to something that CFT strongly, likes to remind ourselves of. Jane Addams in 1881, she made this statement. Think about it, 1881, saying this. She said, "We stand united in a belief in beauty, genius, and courage, and that these can transform the world." Jane Addams, 1881. And compassion-focused therapy, Paul Gilbert and all the amazing theorists who've come together to create this approach have a really strong emphasis on wisdom, strength, and courage. Wisdom, strength, and courage. So on this day, this woman, Jessie Taft, who many people don't know, I was sort of scared of saying this, but I'm going to say it, influenced strongly Carl Rogers' work, the father of humanistic psychology and client-centered therapy. He was strongly influenced by Jessie Taft and her work. You don't hear about it too much, but early on in his career, he came across her work in auto rock, but you don't hear about her. So celebrating National Women's History Month, but also Social Workers Month. And so if we could take a short moment just to pause, if you're listening to this still, take a moment to pause and to contemplate all those social workers, women, men, and others out there right now at this moment, giving of themselves, seeing suffering, and responding to it. So sending them a wish, breathing in a wish. May all those folks helping others be safe, protected, and continue to carry on their work, and breathing it out. Just one breath, one wish. That's all. Why not another one? Breathing in that wish. Breathing out. We send great gratitude to all the women that have been there since the beginning of time, that have given themselves, and many of them uncelebrated, and celebrating National Social Works Month, and all those women that have given themselves and created this field of social work, and taking the time to just today, on the very last day of this month, to celebrate them. So take care and keep them in their mind. This is the last day of the month. to celebrate these people. And I'm so very glad to, if you did listen, thank you so much for listening to these words. Um, they needed to be heard in my mind. And so I hope you let them sink into your heart. And I'll carry on my social work. And you don't have to be a social worker to help people. Go out and help somebody today. And if you want to become a social worker, go for it. It's a great field. Take care. Mwah.